No surprise here, Farron, but Ted Cruz invites this just way far right-wing radio host to testify about climate change in Congress. The guy goes off on this rant talking about who cares if the Maldives sink, doesn't make any difference because they're all Muslim and they can all move to Brussels. Give me your take. I'm not making this up. This really happened.
I know.
This is the same Ted Cruz running for president of the United States. What's your take?
Well, this is not surprising from a guy like Ted Cruz, and it's not surprising for the Republican base in general, because it doesn't matter who says that climate change isn't real. As long as they hear a human being say that, they assume that it's the truth. Now, this guy, this radio host, he has no training in foreign policy. He has no training in the sciences, so he had no business being
I think
there.
I think he sold used cars before he. Yeah. I think he was somehow in that industry before he became a radio host. So now he's there talking about what he knows about climate change, and that first of all it's not true, and if it is true, it doesn't make any difference because the people most affected are only Muslims, and they'll sink if they don't move to Europe and where the other Muslims live. Now, this was taking place in front of Congress.
Right.
And nobody stops this. Understand, this is a Senate subcommittee on this issue, and nobody stops this type of testimony by saying, this is so crazy. What's this guy doing here?
Well, what's interesting is that, with the exception of probably the backwoods, KKK members of the extreme fringe, the majority of Republicans agree that yes, climate change is real, it's a problem, and we need to do something about it because it's harming us in terms of national security. So Ted Cruz is actually at odds with most of his party here, but he understands that those people, yes, they can disagree with him on climate change, but they're still going to vote for him regardless. And he has to say these crazy things because it's going to drum up all the extreme crazies, the people who actually think like Ted Cruz in Texas and in Alabama.
Yeah, well, here's the problem. Ted Cruz's base now are what we call, they're way crazy evangelicals. They're fringe and evangelicals. They're not even norm evangelicals. His father, for example, is a dominionist. And a dominionist believes that there's nothing we can do about saving the planet because it's been ordained by God, and that we are in the last days. His father talks about the fact that we're in the last days. His father raised this creep, Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz is also a dominionist, although he doesn't say it on TV. Nobody knows about it. Most people don't even know what a dominionist is. But the reason he doesn't worry about conflict in the Middle East is because that's part of the apocalypse. That's part of the end of time, and it's supposed to work like that. This guy is the guy who could be president of the United States, sitting at the button of nuclear arms that at one point says it's supposed to be like this,